Welcome into Chicago Bears Now. I'm your host, Harrison Graham, and we got some Bears news to get into, and kind of not a tough one, but a player that you'd like to see come back is not going to, and that is one Cordarrelle Patterson. He is officially signed with the Atlanta Falcons on a one-year deal worth $3 million. Leaves Chicago after 2 seasons, and the plain simple fact of the matter, and I think this really became obvious over the last few weeks, is that the Bears weren't going to match an offer of that amount of money. I think Chicago would have waited it out over another month or two, and if no market formed for Patterson, brought him back on a veteran's minimum type of deal. But while $3 million doesn't sound like a lot, it's not exactly cheap either when you're kind of flirting with the tough salary cap situation, and he's really just an elite kick returner at this point in his career. CPAT tweeted yesterday, "Gonna miss my boys in Chicago." Momentum was trending toward a signing with the Falcons, and now here on Thursday, it becomes official as Patterson finds a new home in Atlanta. We wish him the best. He was a rah-rah guy, a good leader, and showed some value as a running back last year, but once the Bears beefed up their running back position, you kind of figured that this could be a possibility. It's sad to see him go. I like Cordarrelle Patterson. He would try to recruit players to Chicago. The guy loved playing in Chicago. He wanted to be here. That's why you hate to see these situations, because a lot of NFL players, I don't want to say they don't care, but a lot of it is about, A, it's about money and supporting their family, and B, yeah, they want to win. A lot of players don't get attached to certain franchises and organizations. So Cordarrelle Patterson really fell in love with the Chicago Bears, wanted to be a part of the Chicago Bears, and you saw him tweet, "I'm going to miss my boys in Chicago." Unfortunately, the Bears just weren't that interested in bringing him back. So would you have given Patterson that $3 million deal? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I could go either way, honestly. I understand the Bears side of it. I also understand Bears fans who are upset that Patterson isn't coming back. So get your votes in, Y for yes or N for no. Now, obviously, Cordarrelle Patterson, like I said, he's an elite kick returner, has some versatility on offense, can play some receiver, can play some running back, but he never has really turned into that, elite skill position player, right? He's certainly an elite return man, but less than 400 total yards catching and running the football last year. It's not like the Bears were loaded with offensive weapons this past season. He's just never really lived up to that billing when he came out of college, and he was an early first-round wide receiver draft pick. He's moved around. He's played some receiver. He's played some running back. He's done some different things, and he has some value, but I think at the end of the day, the Bears looked at this and say, "Hey, we appreciate you. We liked your what you brought to this locker room, but we're just not going to give you $3 million." And that's the fact of the matter. Unfortunately, that is just business in the NFL. What is your one-word reaction to Cordarrelle Patterson leaving the Chicago Bears? Let me know one word that comes to mind when you see Patterson heading to the Atlanta Falcons. Sad's my one word, but my other word is it's business, guys. This is just how this thing goes. So give me your one-word reaction to CPAT leaving Chicago. Guys, I have a challenge for you guys. Subscribe to the channel because I want to eventually catch the 49ers report. Now, we're just under 1,000 subs away from catching our 49ers channel here at Chat Sports. And that 10,000, 1,000, I can't read. 10,000. And that sounds like a lot, and it is. And I'm not saying this is going to happen in a matter of months. It might take a year plus, if not even longer. But when we launched this channel, the 49ers report had 13,000 subs. And in less than a year and a half, we've closed the gap by about 3,000. So, it can happen over time. Let's continue to grow here on Chicago Bears Now. Daily videos, the latest news, rumors. You see the link on screen. Share it with your Bears fans. I want to catch the 49ers report at some point. YouTube.com/Bears Now. We can't have San Francisco beating Chicago. Come on, this is the Bears. YouTube.com/Bears Now. Daily videos from yours truly here on Chicago Bears Now. Let's talk Justin Fields' pro day here on Chicago Bears Now. Matt Nagy, the Bears head coach, visited Ohio State and watched Justin Fields throw at his second pro day. Remember, a lot of colleges, especially big-name ones, had 2 pro days this year. Ohio State had one a couple of weeks ago, and then Justin Fields had another one yesterday, and he threw at both, threw again on Wednesday, and Matt Nagy was in attendance. The Bears were not initially reported to be in attendance, but Nagy was there, and of course, as you guys know, the Bears hold the number 20 2020 pick in the NFL draft. Fields largely expected to be a top 5 or a top 10 pick. You see Matt Nagy right there. He's on the left. Ryan Day in the middle there. That's Ohio State's head coach. Kyle Shanahan on the right as they watch Justin Fields throw, Shanahan being the 49ers coach, as they hold the number 3 pick in the draft. They've been linked to Mac Jones, Justin Fields, but I like Justin Fields a lot, and I'm glad that Matt Nagy was in attendance to watch Fields throw, because I'm a big believer in Nagy's ability to scout quarterbacks. We've talked about in 2017, he nailed the 3 quarterbacks of Trubisky, Mahomes, and Watson. His scouting reports on all 3, absolutely perfect. Obviously, it's going to take a lot for the Bears to move up. The top 3 picks are all going to be quarterbacks. Lawrence 1, Wilson 2, Jones, Fields, Mac Jones at number 3. Falcons, Trey Lance I mentioned there as well. Falcons and Cincinnati round out your top 5. And then obviously you kind of look at the rest of this. You don't expect Miami to take a quarterback at 6. Detroit at 7 could go either way. Carolina probably won't after trading for Sam Darnold. Denver's a sneaky team. They could maybe take a quarterback. Don't expect Dallas to. Obviously, they just re-signed Dak Prescott. Giants won't. They're committed to Daniel Jones this year. I don't think Philadelphia will. Chargers won't. They have Justin Herbert. Don't think the Vikings will. New England at 15, if one of the top 5 prospects is there, they are a dangerous team to draft the quarterback. And then obviously you got the Bears sitting all the way down at 20. So this draft is believed that 5 quarterbacks will go for sure in the top 15, if not in the top 10. I think there's a really good chance of that happening. So if the Bears want to go up and get a guy like Justin Fields, they're going to have to trade up into the top 10. Do you want the Bears to trade up for Fields? Type 1 for yes, type 2 for no. Get your votes in on this one. I would love to see it happen. I think it'd be a lot of fun. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I would love to see Matt Nagy work with a prospect like Justin Fields. I truly believe if you get the right prospect with Nagy, he can make it work. He's a good evaluator of quarterbacks. His play calling's been up and down in Chicago, but I think with his own guy, maybe a guy like Fields could be a player he's interested in. I think he could excel. Whether or not that happens in Chicago, we'll have to wait and see. But Fields has been rumored to potentially sliding down in the NFL draft, and if he gets beyond the 6th or 7th pick, if I'm Ryan Pace, I'm looking to move up and make a move for this guy. This guy, in my opinion, is clearly one of the top 3 prospects at quarterback. Lawrence is number 1, sure. Maybe you could argue Zach Wilson's better at number 2, but Justin Fields is right there with Zach Wilson. I think he's a really good player. He throws the deep ball well. He's mobile. He's fast. He can make all the throws. There's been, some question, I don't even know about question marks, but talks that maybe he doesn't get through his reads quickly enough. I don't know how true that actually is. This is a big, strong quarterback who can play the position at a very high level. I would love to see the Bears and Matt Nagy get their hands on him. We'll see what happens come draft night. Pick yourself a Bears draft hat on draft night or before draft night, so you're repping the Bears on draft night. Don't be the guy with your friends that's rocking, your old dirty Bears hat or whatever it is. Get a draft hat for this year's draft. Chatsports.com/Bears draft. That link will be in the comments. It'll be in the description. A lot of different styles and varieties available for you guys. Fitted hats, snapbacks, curve bill, flat bill, whatever you want. We've got it available at chatsports.com/Bears draft. We also have some old models available, 2020 draft hats, 2019 draft hats. They're all at that link. It's in the comments. It's in the description. It's chatsports.com/Bears draft. Oh boy, Jim McMahon's talking again. He ripped the Bears as he hopped on some digital show, 1252 Sports Chicago. I've never heard of it before, but he hopped on with those guys and talked about a variety of topics, and he said that Chicago is where quarterbacks go to die, which is a very interesting quote from a guy who spent 7 seasons with the Bears and quarterbacked the 1985 team that went on to win the Super Bowl and is considered one of the greatest teams in NFL history. Here's an expanded quote. Chicago is where quarterbacks go to die. Green Bay was the best team or best organization that I've played for of the 7 teams that I've played for. By far, from top to bottom, it was great people. Why is Jim McMahon bitter? I don't really get this. Now, certainly he's not completely wrong on the quarterback situation, but this guy won a Super Bowl with the Bears, spent 7 seasons there, and is acting like it's the organization's fault that quarterbacks haven't played well there. I think it's more of just they haven't evaluated quarterbacks well, including Jim McMahon, by the way. Jim McMahon's acting like he's some superstar quarterback. He had a 1-to-1 TD interception ratio, essentially. He was a 58% guy. I appreciate Jim McMahon. He's considered one of the Bears' better quarterbacks in history, but why is he going all bitter on Chicago and saying, oh, Green Bay, best organization I played for. I loved being Brett Favre's backup. Like, this just doesn't make any sense. Now, I will admit and I will concede that Jim McMahon isn't completely wrong in his sentiment that that's where Bears quarterbacks go to die. I think that's an extreme, but he's not wrong in the sense of, think about the Bears' history. Who is the best quarterback in the history of this franchise? Like, it's between Jay Cutler, Jim McMahon, and I don't even know after that. My producer's saying sexy Rex Grossman, which is obviously not true. But the point is, this franchise since Sid Luckman in the 40s has not had a legitimate quarterback, basically. That's a problem, and McMahon's not completely wrong, but this quote tells me that he blames the Bears for him not being as good of an NFL quarterback as he thought it could be. I don't think that's true. I think at the end of the day, you got to do things yourself a little bit, and I just don't think McMahon was that great of a pro. He was a game manager, and that's fine. He was the quarterback of the '85 team. I hate to see this bitterness from him because he's part of one of the greatest teams ever. He quarterbacked that team. That's something you can take with you forever, and to come out publicly and say the Packers were the best team I played for, yeah, that's just, I don't get that from Jim McMahon. I want to leave you guys with this question, and then we'll sign off. Who is the best quarterback in Bears history? We asked earlier, is it McMahon? Is it Cutler? Statistically, Trubisky isn't far off, which is very scary, and that's a big problem. Let me know, best quarterback in Bears history. How about this? The next quarterback, because the history, it doesn't look so good.